What's up, guys? Got another Wildstar boss kill video for you today. Last night we got our first Kuralak the Defiler kill on the live servers, and as you can see, I went DPS. The only reason I went DPS is because I have the best DPS gear out of the three tanks. We have a Stalker tank, an NG tank, and a Warrior tank, which is me, and the other two guys don't have as good of DPS gear as me. My DPS gear is pretty bad, but at least I have a set. I was working on a DPS set while I was getting my main spec, but it's nothing good. I got about 100 less assault power, 120 less assault power than the other warriors, so yeah. Anyway, Kuralak the Defiler, pretty easy mechanically, nothing too complex. It's more complex than X89, but most of the fights in Wildstar are pretty simple mechanically. It's just executing them is hard because the mechanics hurt really bad and they're very punishing, and if somebody messes up, it'll screw you. So anyway, this first laser phase, pretty easy. Just kind of slowly tap your strafe key and you'll beat the lasers, no problem. Vileness comes down from the sky, which are those big red circles. If you get hit by two of those in a row, you're going to really eat shit. And it's going to force our healers to use more mana, and it's going to force the healers' heals to be eaten by the DPS instead of the tank, and it's going to be bad news. So people got pretty good at getting out of Vileness. As long as people only get hit by like one or two per pull, then it's not too bad, but some people get hit by a lot, and yeah, those people need to work on it. So anyway, my particular role in this fight was pretty easy. I was not assigned to a pillar. I am not very good at that mechanic, so thank God. That's just one of the few things. I'm not very good at looking at my minimap, distinguishing north, south, east, and west on the fly like that, so I'm not on a pillar. It's good to have warriors in the center, to be honest, because of Power Link and Armor Shred. So yeah, I was not on a pillar. I do believe I have a few boss kills of Kuralak with me on a pillar. It's not that crazy when she blinds you. Certain people need to run to certain pillars on the outside and interrupt her. It's not crazy. But luckily I didn't have to do that. I hate doing that so much. I'm really bad at it. But yeah, just stay in the center, spam DPS. This is the part of the fight that matters. This is where the DPS race starts. As soon as she goes into that second phase, you're on the clock because you gotta kill her before she gets to the 16-man egg phase. And I'm not sure on the timer on that, but you're on the clock. You better be going quick because we have wiped to the enraged mechanic with a perfect run before. We wiped 2 times. Our second day of doing this, I think we wiped once on our first day, but we've wiped to the enraged, so you can't be fucking around with DPS. It's not just mechanics. I know a lot of people like to think, oh, don't worry about DPS, just don't mess up on the mechanics. Not the case. People can mess up on the mechanics a little bit, but if their DPS isn't on point, you're gonna 100% die at the end. It happened to us, so people gotta be on their shit. So yeah, pillars come out, go to a green pillar when that phase happens. That's pretty easy. I would recommend as a warrior DPS to run leap and bum rush. You're gonna see right here, leap, bum rush, boom, back on the boss. And this particular boss kill, we had a little bit of inflated DPS right before we pulled the boss for the last time and got the kill. Everybody was pretty solid on the mechanics, and for the most part, people weren't messing up. So we decided, hey, let's take 5 minutes. Everybody go to a house, get a housing buff. There's a housing buff that increases your damage by 5%, and that housing buff is once per day and does not persist through death. So we sort of went all in on this pull and got it. Nobody made any mistakes until the very end where we had a fucking medic die to the pillar thing, by stepping out too soon. I was furious, to say the least, but we go leap, bum rush, back on the boss. That's, I don't know, it's just the best way to get back to it. One thing I forgot to mention, if you look at the DPS meters right now, you'll notice that a few people are pulling godly DPS, and that is because of the egg mechanic. Whoever interrupts the first eggs, when she turns people into eggs, whoever interrupts those eggs gets a damage buff. So the people that are assigned to get those earlier are going to have higher DPS. So people, I think Max got the first one, Varkings, and somebody else got the second one. Varkings and Leetworms got the second one. So you want your highest DPS to interrupt the eggs first. And I was in the 8 egg phase because I've got shit gear. And that's how that works. So Maxter, while he is really good and he is our best DPS, he is not our best DPS by like 30%. I know a lot of people were really confused on my live stream. People were like, Maxter is a god! Because they didn't know about the 200% more damage, or however much percentage it is when you interrupt an egg. So that's what that is. Well, I know there's a lot of confusion on that mechanic. People think, I watch streams of people raiding all the time, and when they get to this boss, people are like, dude, your guild is shit. You're carrying them in DPS, and they just don't know about that mechanic. So, anyway, when most of the raiding guilds get to this boss, they will be in much better gear than we're in, and the fight is going to come down to the last phase for them. It's all going to be egg coordination. I think once people get those crafted epics and have really, really, really good dungeon gear, and just generally with power creep in MMOs, you're going to be doing more DPS, and it's all going to come down to the 8 egg phase, everybody interrupting the right person. I recommend Trackmaster and setting that person to his focus. As you can see, I've got that little line going into Elite Worms right there, and that's going to tell me where Elite Worms is all the time. He's also marked with a toaster. The marks are a little bit buggy right now, so I'd actually recommend Trackmaster with set focus, just because that never goes away, whereas the toaster sometimes disappears. Like, you see Elite Worms right there, he doesn't even have a toaster right now. I don't know what the fucking deal is with the marks disappearing, but he used to have one and now he doesn't. So Trackmaster, very good for this. It's gonna help you figure out where your person is. People cannot stack up on right when they're getting ready to get turned into eggs. That's the biggest thing. We wiped to that a few times, so you just can't have that happening. But yeah, I think for the most part, everybody, you probably understand the fight at this point. You've probably seen it a few times. Understanding the fight is easy. It's actually executing on it that's hard. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoy the rest of the video. See how I just took out that island right there with that telegraph? Boom, down goes the... It's just a lot of fun. It's a little bit hectic when you're having to learn how to turn your camera, but it's really easy. All you gotta do is do your normal tanking rotation and just hit the left click button, spin your camera around real quick, let go.